Should you buy or rent a house? I've broken it down into 5 key decisions. I'm Charlie, I've got 15 years in the construction industry, and today we're looking at whether you should buy or rent a house. In my eyes, it's not worth running complex financial calculations. First, we need to look at the factors that don't have a price tag attached. Only then, if all things are equal, should we do the financial calculations. 1. Financial effects. First of all, what can you actually afford? If you don't have the deposit, there's not much you can buy. If you wanted to buy a house for, say, 100,000, you'll need about 15%, which is 15,000. You'll also need to take into account any tax implications like stamp duty and conveyancing and solicitors fees, which come to about 1,500. If you don't have the deposit saved up, there's not much point doing a rent versus buying calculation. You can only really rent. Don't be fooled by the 100% mortgage headlines. Their rates are reflective of the risk to the lender. You also need to consider whether you can buy in the same area that you can rent. If you have to commute for an extra hour to buy somewhere, it might not be worth doing. We have to look at the same thing with quality. Say you've got £1,000 rent versus £1,000 mortgage. What kind of quality in the house are you getting? And the other thing to consider is that the cost doesn't stop there on the mortgage, you've also got your maintenance fees. Most landlords tend to add about 10% to the cost, or they allow 10% to allow for maintenance and damages. So we should do this for our mortgage. Second factor is opportunity cost. With any investment, there's always an opportunity cost. What else could we spend that money on? There's also an opportunity cost in terms of settling down and buying somewhere. It's not easy once you've bought somewhere to quickly relocate. You've got all the conveyancing time, all the fees and the taxes that went with buying a property. It's not a quick process to just buy somewhere else. Whereas if you're renting, it's a lot easier and you're a lot less contractually tied into continuing your rent. Say you like to move around a lot, or a job offer potentially comes up on the other side of the country, it's a lot easier to take it if you rent. What if you spent the money that you were going to use as a deposit and bought stocks instead? We could do a calculation on what performs better, real estate and property or stocks. But before you do the analysis on whether stocks appreciate more than real estate, we have to consider the tax implications. In the UK, you don't pay tax on the capital appreciation of your primary residence, so this would be your house. That means that if you're in a higher tax bracket and all things being equal, stocks, real estate rises at the same rate, for example, you could be paying 45% tax on your stock profit, whereas you wouldn't on the appreciation of your home. This is a big tick in the buying box for opportunity cost. There's no way that stocks can compare to this initial investment. The third factor is geographical. Now in London, landlords tend to make 3 to 5% of rental return against the total value of the property. Whereas up north, in say Liverpool, Manchester, even Nottingham in the Midlands, returns are more like 8 to 10%. You don't need to be a mathematician to realise that it's better then to rent in the south, in London, where returns are worse for landlords, and to buy up north, where returns are better for landlords. If all the landlords are buying up north, then you should do the same and buy there. If landlords aren't interested in buy-to-lets in the south because the returns aren't as good, then you should be renting there. The fourth factor is maintenance. If you rent, it's your landlord's responsibility to do any repairs and maintenance. However, landlords are notoriously slow at doing repairs. Now, if you're the homeowner, this is up to you. You can decide when repairs are done, you can decide what they are, how much you pay for them, but it is your responsibility, something that you are going to take on, and it takes admin time and it costs your own money, whereas before that was wrapped up and included in the rent. As a renter, there's not a whole lot that you can do if your landlord is being slow in repairs of, say, a door handle coming loose. Yeah, they have contractual obligations if it's to do with your heating or your hot water, but a loose door handle, while annoying, isn't urgent and they can drag their feet on this kind of thing. Whereas if it's your own property, you might DIY it yourself or quickly get it fixed. Or you might decide, hey, I'm just going to live with it and not pay anybody. With renting, the costs of maintenance can come as a bit of a shock. Let's take a small example that your toilet breaks and you need to repair it. Well, a toilet costs about £200 actually if you need to buy the pan, the lid and the system. Then there's actually installing it. You could end up paying another £200 to £250 for a plumber to come around and install it for you. Then if you feel Like, you want a really good finish, you should also mastic around the outside of it. So you either do the mastic yourself or you pay another guy to come and do the mastic. So you can quickly see that these repair costs really add up. As a renter, you can ignore these costs. It's all down to the landlord. When you're a homeowner, that falls on you. You're always going to need to have your emergency maintenance fund on hand, whereas a renter, it's not really a concern. The fifth factor is control. I think control, psychologically, is an underrated topic. I think there's a lot of pride that comes in being a homeowner, and a lot of psychological benefit that it comes from knowing that it's your home. You can redecorate it how you want, you can do blue ceilings and yellow walls, you can really put your stamp on a place. You can do whatever you want. But as a renter, you can't do that. You're kind of at the mercy of a landlord, and any changes and upgrades that you make, you're going to lose the value of that when you stop renting there. It doesn't matter that the bank probably own about 85% of the house, it still feels like yours. You get the freedom to extend, you could do a loft conversion potentially, you can upgrade the kitchen, you can upgrade the bathroom, and you can get the benefit from this when you come to sell, when you increase the value of the home. Again, you don't have this opportunity when you rent. But you only realise this profit or this gain if you sell. If you hold on to the house for 10 years and you've done some renovations in year one, they're probably going to be outdated by the time you come to sell, and you won't actually get any monetary gain out of it. So the choice isn't clear cut, and I don't think it's something that a spreadsheet can tell you. The decision that you make, whether you buy or whether you rent, should come really from the heart and the gut and your own personal circumstances.